Have you ever thought about a thief who could steal something precious from you without you even realizing they were there? Well, that's pretty much the reality for millions of people living with glaucoma. So today we're going to dive deep into how we're fighting back against this silent threat, what the biggest, most unexpected hurdles are, and some of the incredible new ideas that could honestly change everything. You know, there's a reason everyone calls glaucoma the silent thief of sight. It's because it works in the shadows. It steals your vision so gradually that you might not notice a single thing is wrong until the damage is already done and permanent. It's like a heist happening in slow motion right inside your own eyes. And just so we're clear, this is not some rare condition. We are talking about 80 million people around the world right now dealing with this. 80 million. And that number, it's expected to balloon to over 111 million by 2040. This isn't just a number on a screen. It's a huge global health crisis that's unfolding as we speak. Okay, but here's the part that really gets me. Because glaucoma has zero symptoms in its early stages, a staggering 50%, half, of the people who have it don't even know. They're just walking around, living their lives, totally unaware that the silent thief has already started its work. So what is actually happening here biologically? Well, glaucoma damages the optic nerve. You can think of that nerve as the main data cable connecting your eye to your brain. And usually that damage is caused by high pressure building up inside the eye, what doctors call intraocular pressure or IOP. And that one fact pretty much defines the main goal of almost every treatment we have today: lower the pressure to save the nerve. So, if high pressure is the bad guy in this story, how do we fight back? Well, that brings us to our treatment toolbox. Over the years, medicine has come up with a really powerful three-pronged attack designed specifically to get that dangerous eye pressure under control. For most people, the treatment journey follows a pretty clear path. You almost always start with the simplest, least invasive option, which is medicated eye drops. If that's not quite getting the job done, the next step up is usually laser therapy. And then for the really stubborn cases, surgery becomes the final line of defense. So let's break down the trade-offs here. Eye drops, they work and they're not invasive, but, and this is a big but, you have to use them perfectly every single day, which is tough. Laser therapy, or SLT, is really interesting because it totally solves that daily use problem. But its effect can wear off after a few years. And then there's surgery. It can be a lifesaver for severe cases, but, it's surgery. It's invasive and comes with more risks. Each has its role, but none of them is a perfect cure. But all of this leads to a really frustrating question. We have this great toolbox, right? We have drops, lasers, surgery. So why is glaucoma still one of the main causes of irreversible blindness? And that brings us to the hidden hurdle, the discovery that the biggest fight isn't always against the disease itself. It's against something much more human. So let's just pause on that question for a second. We've got all these powerful tools in our arsenal. Why are so many people still losing their sight to this disease? The answer, as it turns out, is both incredibly simple and amazingly complex. And the answer, in a single word, is adherence. It's a clinical-sounding term for a deeply human problem, the massive challenge of taking your medicine perfectly, every single day, for the rest of your life, for a disease you can't even feel. And the scale of this is it's staggering. Studies show that non-adherence rates can be anywhere from 16% all the way up to 67%. Let that sink in. In a worst-case scenario, that means 2/3 of patients aren't taking their sight-saving medication the way they're supposed to. That is a huge gap between having a treatment and having that treatment actually work in the real world. And look, it is so important to understand that this isn't about people being lazy or not caring. The reasons are completely understandable. The disease doesn't have symptoms, so there's no pain to remind you to take your drops. The treatment is for life. The schedule can be super complicated, and the drops themselves can be expensive or have annoying side effects. It is a huge burden to put on anybody. But this is where the story takes a really hopeful turn, because once we identified the real problem, researchers started designing the future of sight, a whole new wave of innovations built not just to treat the eye, but to solve these very human challenges. And this right here represents a huge leap in how we think about this. We're moving away from the old way of doing things, which puts all the pressure on the patient, to a new way that uses technology to fix the problem. We're talking about tiny, sustained-release implants that automatically give the eye medication for months at a time. They basically bypass that whole adherence hurdle completely. But what if we could go even further? What if we could change the game entirely? Well, a truly groundbreaking idea that's on the horizon is something called neuroprotection. The idea here is to shift our focus away from just lowering eye pressure and instead directly shield the optic nerve itself from getting damaged, no matter what the pressure is. And this isn't some far-off sci-fi dream. I mean, right now, there are advanced clinical trials testing treatments designed to do exactly this. One of the most promising is something called nicotinamide, which is actually a form of vitamin B3. And researchers are hopeful it can directly protect those nerve cells and slow down vision loss. This could be an absolute game changer. So we'll end with this thought. The fight against glaucoma began by trying to manage the pressure inside the eye. But the future? The future is about asking a much bigger question. What if we could protect the optic nerve directly? Answering that question could be how we finally, once and for all, win the fight against the silent thief of sight.